All right, here's my week 6 programming assignment. To start off, I cloned in the file that I was supposed to. At first I tried to access it after I looked at where it was, and then I realized it was not a file, but a directory. And so then I went to the directory, then looked at the files in the directory and opened that. Then I just went right to writing the program. You see I had a bunch of issues at first, mostly just missing punctuation, some writing the constant variable wrong, because it was actually, there's not supposed to be any underscore there, just min choice. Forgot to include different header files, which is why those were that way. Went in and made changes, started there, then made the header file changes. So I got these, which were really weird at first. I couldn't figure it out, and I kept trying to fix this in different ways, trying to figure out why it was giving me that return. I guess I wasn't returning a value to my function, and it was needing me to. I later realized it was because I was using this if statement instead of a while statement. I didn't figure that out until after I fixed the get choice first. And how I did that, I don't know if this is what I was supposed to do, but I turned get choice into an integer, not integer, but integer variable reference. At first I forgot to put the variable inside of the parentheses right there. So I did that, and that fixed that. Then I fixed my if statement and turned it to a while statement for the get positive doubles. And then it ended up working. At first I was getting some wrong calculations. That was, for one, because I did radius to the second instead of radius to the third. And then this was because I did just plain old 4 divided by 3 without saying 4.0 and 3.0, which I didn't know that was the problem. So at first I just put the value of 4 divided by 3, the decimal value, and I ran that again, and I got the right calculations. I pretty much got the right calculations on everything. The only problem is it didn't have this spacing that you had in yours. So I went in and put new lines to give myself some spacing so it was more readable and not just smashed together, which happened there, but I did too much spacing. So I went in and fixed it again so it was a little smaller, single spaced. So yeah, that all worked. So then I was gonna go and add in the 6th choice into the menu. When I did that, I knew my new function was gonna need to use the 1 divided by 3, and I didn't want to put the decimal value of 1 divided by 3. So I tried to see if 1.0, or first of all, if 4.0 divided by 3.0 would return what I needed it to, which was right here. And it did. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. So I did 4.0 and 3.0, and then 1.0 and 3.0 for my rectangular pyramid choice that I added in here. And I checked to see that those calculations were right, and they actually are. So yeah, that was that. I'll take you into my program. So yeah, right off the bat, there is me including the string header file in the C math. I don't know that I need a string for sure, but I definitely added it. And then right here you can see I changed that constant variable to 6 instead of 5. Right here is where you can see I added the reference variable into get choice. And then here is a prototype of my new program, double calc rec pyramid for a rectangular pyramid. Then we get into here, and you can see where I put choice inside of get choice, which fixed my error message. Here's also where I put a new line after goodbye. So that way that didn't get jumbled up with the end of my file, the end of the program. And right here I added new line, so that gave me spacing between each of those calculations. So this is my menu, And this is the added rectangular pyramid to the menu. Over here is my get choice with the reference variable choice. So enter choice, and then this while statement. Again, the reason why I had the constant in there wrong is because right up here you have this min choice max choice. So I forgot that's not how you had it written up top, and so I fixed it to min choice max choice. But yeah, that all worked out. It was returning that enter a valid choice if the wrong choice was entered. And then so here's my get positive double. So I call out double value, enter the value of the attribute. Value is less than or equal to 0. Enter a positive value. Message will be sent out until they enter the right message, and then it'll return that value. So I was getting that error warning because I was using if the value, and then I was using else return value, and it didn't like that. So I changed that, and that ended up working. So here's my calculations. As you can see, I call out for the sphere. I declare the variables, double variables, volume and radius. Here's my calculations. There's where I put 4.0 and 3.0 instead of just 4 divided by 3. Using the call from the C math library with that m_pi in my calculations there. I'm gonna run through these pretty fast because you kind of all just do the same thing. Change the attribute to whatever I want to be, cylinder radius. Use the different formulas for calculating volume of different things, different shapes, I should say. So yeah, and then we get down to my new one, which is double calc pyramid. Call out the variable volume, base height, and pyramid height. Here's the calculations, 1.0 divided by 3.0. So that worked good. And there's the void function print result that sends out the result message. The volume of the shape is volume n-lined. So there we go. And so, and going over to task 3, how does modular programming and functions break down this program into smaller problems? So one way it breaks it down into smaller problems is, as you can see, all these are just smaller problems. And instead of all these smaller problems appearing up here and just kind of writing them all back to back, you get these functions that are separate that we can use together and call them out in this big main function, and it'll look a lot neater. You just have these little calls to the different functions, which are the smaller problems, and it breaks it all down for you, which is really helpful for readability in the main function, and also for just understanding when I go through and I make each of these functions. It kind of helps me piece it together and see what needs to happen for it to execute the way I want it to. And a good example of code reuse is one, the get choice. That was a code I reused a lot, but I think the most important one was this double get positive double. Using that in all of my functions that calculated volume was a really helpful one. So I just had to, instead of writing it out every single time, I just had it ready to go and put it in there, and it did what it needed to and validated the data that was getting entered into there. So that was real helpful. And then, so finally, task 4 was to talk about the appropriateness of the global variables. And so for global variables, the only ones that were used were constants, and that is appropriate. You don't want to use anything but constants. Really, it's a bad habit, because as you're going, if you don't use a constant variable and you have a global variable and different changes and stuff are made throughout the program to that variable, you could get some wrong calculations or errors, and you'll have to go through each part or each function where that global variable shows up and see what happened, see where you might have accidentally made a change or messed it up. But with these constant variables, you can't make changes throughout the program. You only can make changes up here. So you know that you didn't end up messing them up somewhere throughout the program. It's just right up here if you ever want to make changes to them. But there we go. Thank you.